Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. First things first, I am sorry if you hear the noise of like very loud fans or something like that. I don't know if the camera and my mic are registering it, but right below us, my basement flooded, so they set in fans slash dehumidifiers that have been going on for 24 hours a day. So apologies if you hear that noise, but I can't turn them off. Today we're going to be talking about Activision slash what's been going on with Blizzard. Blizzard are the creators of Warcraft, Diablo, Starcraft, Overwatch. Basically, to boil it down, they're American video game developers. So basically people have been talking about Blizzard a lot in the last few days, and not because of good reasons, not because of a game release, but mainly because there have been numerous very troubling allegations that we're going to go through. And those allegations include frat boy culture, sexual harassment, unequal pay, retaliation, being held back from promotions, derogatory comments, and suicide, which suicide is not an allegation, it is a fact. So as you can see, this is going to be a heavy video, so if any or all of these are a trigger for you, I would suggest to skip this video. So, Activision Blizzard is sued over frat boy culture. As soon as I saw the terms frat boy, I immediately got concerned because, and this is just anecdotal, but I have had experiences when I was in college with frat boys, and that's not to say every frat boy is a demon. What I saw at parties was genuinely alarming, and the few times I went, I almost always had to step in and interrupt something that was inappropriate. So frat boy culture immediately to me was a big red flag, and obviously once you read the article, the red flags are everywhere. Blizzard Incorporated, which is the maker of games World of Warcraft and Diablo, as we said before, fosters a frat boy culture in which female employees are subjected to constant sexual harassment, unequal pay, and retaliation, according to a lawsuit filed by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing. According to the complaint filed Tuesday in the Los Angeles Superior Court, female employees make up around 20% of the Activision workforce and are subjected to a pervasive frat boy workplace culture, including cube crawls in which male employees drink copious amounts of alcohol as they crawl their way through various cubicles in the office and often engage in inappropriate behavior toward female employees. So already, all of this is disgusting. I don't think that needs to be said. It's very obvious. This reminded me of the show Mad Men, which is a show I actually like, though it is also a commentary on equality throughout everything, whether it's gender, racial. There's a lot to say about that show, but these cube crawls remind me of that show because there is a scene where everyone's drinking. I can't remember if it's an election or something. Women are in the office are running away from men, and the men have a bet on the color of the woman's underwear, and they lift their skirts to see if their bet was correct. And I know it's not the same thing, but that's the first thing I thought of when I read this, because it's just so deplorable and disgusting. And we have to remember, Mad Men was like 50s, 60s. So the fact that something similar or potentially parallel is happening now is beyond belief. So then it says, female employees allege being held back from promotions because of the possibility they might become pregnant, being criticized for leaving to pick up their children from daycare, and being kicked out of lactation rooms so male colleagues could use the room for meetings. Female employees working for the World of Warcraft team noted that male employees and supervisors hit on them, make derogatory comments about rape, and otherwise engage in demeaning behavior. The suit also points to a female Activision employee who took her own life on a company trip with her male supervisor. The employee had been subjected to intense sexual harassment prior to death, including having nude photos passed around at a company holiday party, the complaint says. I'd like to think a lot of the times when we read things, we can try and see the other side or the culpable side and maybe what they were going for. But here, and I think that's the thing that's so jarring and disgusting about this case is that there is no other side. This was purely disgusting. There is no excuse. It's just every stereotype of a toxic, harassing workplace taking place all at once. Now, I want you to remember employees working for World of Warcraft because that will come up again. But the fact that women were held back from promotions because of the possibility they may become pregnant is deplorable. First of all, you shouldn't be held back from any promotion just because you want to have children, period. But aside from that, the assumption that every single woman would want children is also toxic. So there's toxicity all over the place here. I think the most disgusting part that made me actually nauseated was when I read about the employee who took her own life while on a company trip because she'd been harassed sexually so much that it was just too much to bear. And the sole concept of having nude photos of herself passed around at a holiday party, to me, this proves that, in every company there are bad apples. There will always be shitty people, but in this particular case, it seems like it's a systemic problem. To me, it doesn't seem like firing one or two people or one or two people leaving is going to make any difference. It's like you need to get a union, most likely, and then also, if the problem starts from the bottom and goes all the way from the top and vice versa, then the problem is beyond just firing people, which is what's the most concerning, because it's like if this company goes on this way, I can guarantee that there will continue to be problems of this same nature because it's not just one person harassing everyone, it's the culture. So remember how I said, remember World of Warcraft? Well, former World of Warcraft senior creative director Alex Afrasiabi was named as top-level harasser who was permitted to engage in blatant sexual harassment with little to no repercussions. During a company event, an annual convention called BlizzCon, Afrasiabi would hit on female employees, telling them he wanted to marry them, attempting to kiss them, and putting his arms around them. This was in plain view of other male employees, including supervisors who had to intervene to pull him off female employees. Now, the sole fact that a senior creative director, someone higher up there, would feel comfortable enough to do all of those things, to basically sexually harass women in various ways, is so disgusting and deplorable. But most of all, it goes back to what I was saying before, that there was a culture that fostered that kind of behavior that made it comfortable. Thankfully, there were people around, other men around, who were, I wouldn't say they were denouncing necessarily, but who were there to reel in Alex Afrasiabi. But aside from that, it's also concerning because what if there were no male employees to do that? Then what? Like, how far would this person go? And it's the slippery slope thing where it's like, it's good that someone caught this person and reeled them in and was like, no, this is not okay. But at the same time, it's also like, there shouldn't have to be like male guardians at these parties to make sure that nothing's going to happen to women. It frankly is almost infantilizing because it reminds me of, prom, where you'd have teachers making sure that students weren't acting out, and that kind of looks like what's happening here, which I guess goes back to the frat boy culture thing where there has to be someone there to stop people from acting in disgusting ways, which again in and of itself says there's a problem that ranges through the whole company, not just a couple bad apples. Women of color were particularly vulnerable targets of Blizzard's discriminatory practices. The Department of Fair Employment and Housing said in the lawsuit. It also alleged that employees were discouraged from complaining as human resource personnel were known to be close to alleged harassers. Now, this makes things, in my opinion, significantly worse because you'd think that at the very least, you could go to human resources and report whatever inappropriate behavior is occurring, has happened to you, so on and so forth. But it makes it so much more nightmarish that You imagine being a woman in a company that gets harassed and you can't even go to the one place you should be able to go, which is human resources, because they'll shrug you off, or because simply you know that they're close with the harasser, so you know nothing's going to come of it. And on the contrary, you might receive some kind of retaliation, whether it's avoiding promotions, getting fired, like anything. This whole case is so disgusting, and I saw on Twitter that people were saying, you know, you should have listened to us years ago. There are employees that allegedly came out years ago saying, you know, there is a really big problem in this company, and frankly, I wish people had listened prior. I had no idea prior about this, about how toxic the environment was. But I think it indicates how much we should be listening in the first place. So even if it's one woman or a couple women, their accounts aren't less valuable. I'm only glad that at least something is happening now, as opposed to nothing happening and things continuing as they have. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if you were aware of this or if you'd seen prior accounts coming out before this lawsuit. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.